Okay, so we have talked before about cut content in Crash Bandicoot. Over the years, several levels have been discovered. There's a few that were just prototypes, things that never got past the basic testing stage. Particularly, there's one with a lava volcano area that didn't work because the red of the lava clashed with the orange of Crash's fur, that sort of thing. But there was one level that got very close to completion. It was about 90 to 95% complete and then had to be thrown out at the last minute. That was meant to be the final level of the game after the lab, and it was called Stormy Ascent. It would have been the other rainy storm climbing, tower climbing thing from Slippery Climb.
Okay.
And it was cut at the very last minute because even by this game's standards, it was just too difficult.
Oh, no.
And so Vicarious Visions made the decision to remake Stormy Ascent and finish it so that it could be included properly as DLC. It is one of two pieces of DLC in this collection. And it is. This is the first time. This would be the first time that anyone outside of, who didn't have a PlayStation with a Game Shark will be able to play this. With all that being said, let's see what the fuss is about and play some Stormy Ascent.
This is like a little window into the development process.
Yeah, as I mentioned in the intro, this level came very close to being completed. Also, we're going to need a lot of good luck.
Okay, so when that's the hint...
Yeah, it's not this is a very straightforward level, even if it is incredibly difficult. I mean, there's no puzzles to solve. It's just do the thing and do it well, but it's extremely hard. And I believe the second, I think I could point out more or less the section where it stopped, where it's work on the level stopped pretty close to the end. It was about 90 to 95% complete. And it's also at this point, considering how many times I died while playing this, because this was a recording of my first playthrough of the level. That would give me an opportunity to show off the bit of, not hand-holding, but the slightly forgiving features that the game has when it comes to death. Yeah, very late first checkpoint there.
Fast platforms, balance boards, okay.
No, it gets worse. I've mentioned before that we've seen those yellow clocks. This game ported back the time trial mode from Crash Bandicoot 3 into the first two Crash games. And that's what those yellow clocks are. You hit the clock and it starts the timer. The minimum time, because there's three different relics. There's Sapphire, Gold, and Platinum. Sapphire, Gold, and Platinum. And the Sapphire time, the easiest time for Stormy Ascent, is 7 minutes.
This could actually be the longest level in the game.
It's very close, if not the longest. So you might have noticed there, if you die, I think it's 10 times on the same checkpoint, you get one Aku Aku mask and then eventually two. And then if you keep dying, that checkpoint behind the lab assistant there is not there usually. It's there if you die like 20 or 30 times. So that's one of the ways that this game helps you along if you're dying too much.
Huh.
And in a couple of minutes here, we will see the embryo bonus room. There were no bonus rooms in the PlayStation version of this because they never designed them. If you tried to get the embryo tokens, the game would crash. So Instead, they just made Vicarious Visions made a brand new, brutally difficult bonus level, and it's one of the only pieces of original level design in this entire game.
I have to admit, they put the work in on this.
Yeah, I mean, this was, I think the DLC was free for the first 2 months, and then it was like a $2 or $3 after that. Yeah, if you get hit on the spikes there, you're pretty much screwed, even if you have an Aku Aku mask, because there just isn't enough height to get back up to the platforms. Okay, so this is the brand new original embryo bonus stage, and I think I'm just going to let this one speak for itself. Well, that wasn't painful at all.
Clever. Very clever. I'll give him that.
Yeah, it's one of those sections where even when you figure out what to do, it's the precision of it is so ridiculous that, you know, it gets very close to being unfair without actually being unfair. It's really straddling the line there. And I do appreciate how they take all of the level design concepts from Slippery Climb and ramp them up to 11. In fact, I remember that there was a commercial. The commercial for this DLC was sort of parodying the self-serious "You are going to die constantly" Dark Souls commercials. It was just a death montage basically of this level, and it sold surprisingly. The DLC sold surprisingly well, considering that prior to this, Stormy Ascent was a very obscure, 90% complete level that nobody outside of like hardcore Crash fans would have heard about.
The stuff of cutting room floor legends, you know.
In fact, I can't remember exactly, but I think that Envisioned, who did an excellent LP of the original Crash games, if you want to see the comparisons, I think he may have also shown off Stormy Ascent in his LP. But I will have to double check that.
So I'm assuming in the original game you just can't finish this level. There's no
this
real exit.
this upper section here is gone. There's no level exit because they never finished the level. And with that, that is the end of the Crash Bandicoot 1 section of our Sane Trilogy Let's Play. Just as a quick reminder for anyone else who is following along, we are not going to be playing these games consecutively. There will be one unrelated Let's Play in between each of the Crash games, just because I don't want to burn out on this series like I did with Lords of Shadow, especially not this series. It's too near and dear to my heart.
Valid. A good decision, sir.
And no, I will not be doing the time trials for Crash 1 and 2, only for 3, because that's where they belong. I mean, it's interesting to see them, but I think it would be a bit too repetitive if we did it for all 3 games instead of just the third. So, now that we've gone through the entirety of the original Crash in its superior form, what did you think of the experience?
I liked it. I can see where it is one of those classic 90s frustration works where it doesn't seem like a long game, but there are parts of it that just take you to task with finishing it.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a mid 90s tribute to the early 90s.
a mid-90s tribute to Nintendo hard, which is ironic.
Yeah.
Everybody who played this ended up outside of their offices yelling at them with bullhorns.
Oh yeah, I should point out that with those commercials, there was always some sort of punchline at the end that made Crash look like an asshole. Like at the end of that particular commercial, where Crash is yelling outside Nintendo's headquarters, he ends up getting pulled over and arrested by a police officer. And what was the punchline at the end? It was something like the policeman says, "Is that Italian?" And he says, "No, no, Bandicoot. It's an Australian name." Or something like that. I'm butchering the joke. The point is, it's funnier in the commercials.
There's some self-deprecation in the humor, to this series.
And Crash also became something of an attempt at an unofficial mascot for Sony. They kind of had a couple of them. If you remember, the very first attempt at creating a mascot for the PlayStation was Polygon Man, which lasted less than a year.
Yeah, I remember that.
Who you may know as the final boss of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. That's the only thing that he's been relevant in the last 30 years.
Oh my god, that's what that game was. A plot to get all the mascots together and kill them.
Basically. But yeah, there was Lara Croft and Gex wouldn't really have counted because they weren't PlayStation exclusives, even though they were pushed. Well, it's strange that Solid Snake was never really used as a PlayStation mascot, despite Metal Gear Solid being one of the highest profile PlayStation exclusive games.
Yeah. I want to say Crash Bandicoot was on the box for my original PlayStation. I don't have that box anymore, so I can't really check. But Crash Bandicoot had a lot of prominence, which is why I'm kind of shocked I skipped these games, but they maybe weren't quite my cup of tea. And I broke enough controllers when I was a teenager, so
yeah. I have a similar story that turns out the PlayStation that my father got me when I was about 6 or 7. That came with a PlayStation Underground demo disc that had one of the first levels from Crash Bandicoot 2 on it, and that demo disc alone basically was what got me into this series when I was a gullible 6-year-old.
Was it that game, or was it like Crash Bash or one of the weird side games where they didn't know?
So Crash Bash came out in 2000. 2000 or 2001, I can't remember. It was a very late PlayStation game. That was Eurocom. And that was the first Crash game that came out after Naughty Dog left their contract.
Okay.
There was Tiger Electronics made a 99X handheld for Crash that came out in 1997, around the same time as Crash 2.
Oh my god.
And it is surprisingly the iOS Temple Runner knockoff Crash on the Run actually has reimagined versions of those enemies from the 99X Crash game, which is it's so bizarre. I can't help but love it.
But here more to the point, the demo disc thing, I cannot remember which Crash Bandicoot game it was. The demo disc version of it, they couldn't figure out how to take out all of the levels from the full version. So they just ended the demo, but if you had a Game Shark, surprise Game Shark, the whole game was on the demo disc.
That also seems to be a problem with modern games. I'm kind of surprised that was that kind of thing was available back in the mid 90s.
I'm going to have to look that up now and confirm it, because it's one of those things where the game didn't sell well because everybody got the demo disc from like Pizza Hut or something like that and found out that you could do it.
Thank you for mentioning Pizza Hut, because because there was a massive marketing campaign starring the Crash guy in a suit, not for Crash games, but for the PlayStation as a whole. And they had a tie-in with Pizza Hut. Very specifically. Like, I also remember I got one of the only other PlayStation Underground demo discs I own came from being at a friend's birthday party, which was at a Pizza Hut, and they gave out demo discs to everyone. I think it had like Spyro 3 and maybe one of the Cool Borders games on it. I don't remember exactly. which is extra funny because getting back to the iOS game Crash on the Run, there ended up for about a month. There was a very aggressive cross promotional campaign, not with Pizza Hut, but with Domino's, including the Noid as a guest boss fight. Which
and they just use the logic from Rue.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that there was a Domino's cross promotion is already funny enough, but it's absolutely hilarious when you see it as like this sort of betrayal of pizza corporations because they had Pizza Hut first and now they're moving over to Domino's. Yeah. Move over, Hatsune Miku. Here comes Crash Bandicoot.
This has been a treat, because I skipped these when I was younger. So I'm going to get a chance to live vicariously through you, as I often do.
You could say you're having vicarious visions.
You could say that. You actually could say that.
All right. So one last reminder. Our next Let's Play is going to be of something completely different. And after that, we will go to Crash Bandicoot 2.
Excellent.